David Bromstad is known to millions as the joyful, colorful heart of my lottery dream home, a man whose smile feels as warm as the homes he helps others discover. On screen, he radiates ease, optimism, and reassurance, the kind of presence that makes viewers feel instantly comfortable. Yet behind that familiar brightness lies a life shaped by pain, resilience, and deliberate self-reinvention. David's journey was never about overnight success or effortless charm. It was built slowly through moments of deep isolation, personal setbacks, and hard choices that forced him to grow stronger from within. The contrast between who he is on television and what he endured off camera is precisely what makes his story so compelling. His happiness is not accidental or naive. It is earned. Each laugh, each burst of color, and each encouraging word carries the weight of experience, proving that joy can be an act of courage rather than a gift of circumstance. Growing up, different in a small town, David Bromstad grew up in Cokato, Minnesota, in a traditional Scandinavian-American household where conformity was often valued over expression. From an early age, he stood out for his gentle demeanor, artistic interests, and emotional openness. These qualities, rather than being celebrated, made him a target during his school years. In a community not yet ready to embrace difference, David experienced intense isolation and bullying that left lasting emotional scars. One deeply painful incident during high school involved a large-scale public humiliation that shattered his sense of safety and trust in authority. The lack of adult intervention compounded the trauma, teaching him early how alone a person can feel, even in a crowded room. Those years planted seeds of self-doubt and fear that followed him well into adulthood. Yet they also quietly forged his empathy, teaching him how deeply words and actions can affect others. Art as survival and healing. As David moved into his 20s, the emotional weight of his youth followed him. He later spoke openly about living with depression during a period when many people are discovering independence and joy. For him, those years were less about exploration and more about endurance. Art became his refuge. Drawing, painting, and working with color allowed him to process emotions he couldn't yet voice. The vivid palettes and fearless design choices that would later define his career were born during this time, not from confidence, but from necessity. Color became his language of healing, a way to reclaim control and meaning after years of being silenced. Creativity offered him a private space where pain could be transformed rather than hidden. What audiences now experience as exuberance began as survival, a reminder that beauty can rise from darkness when someone chooses expression over despair. From Disney dreams to reinvention, David's early professional dream was to become a Disney animator, a goal he achieved after graduating from Ringling College of Art and Design. Working for such an iconic studio felt like validation after years of struggle. However, economic changes led to widespread layoffs, and David lost his job. The loss was devastating, not just financially, but emotionally, shaking his identity and sense of direction. Instead of giving up, he pivoted. He turned toward interior design, launching a small business focused on children's spaces, where imagination and color were central. Success came slowly, but each project helped him refine a bold, unmistakable style. This period taught him adaptability and patience, proving that dreams can evolve without losing their essence. What felt like failure ultimately redirected him toward a path better aligned with who he truly was, blending art, emotion, and human connection. Finding his voice on television. In 2006, David took a leap of faith by entering HGTV's Design Star, encouraged by a friend who believed in his on-camera presence. Against hundreds of contestants, his originality, warmth, and fearless use of color set him apart. Winning the competition changed his life, opening doors to television and launching Color Splash. The show allowed David to express his philosophy fully, using design as emotional storytelling rather than decoration alone. Years later, My Lottery Dream Home expanded his reach even further. The show's success rested not just on real estate, but on David's genuine empathy for guests experiencing life-changing moments. Viewers connected to his ability to celebrate others without envy or judgment. His rise in television wasn't manufactured. It was the result of authenticity meeting opportunity and of someone finally being seen for exactly who he was. Grace under public pressure. As David's visibility grew, so did scrutiny. During the height of his success, he faced a very public legal dispute involving a former partner. The allegations attracted headlines and speculation, creating a sharp contrast with his upbeat public image. David chose not to engage publicly, trusting the legal process rather than fueling media drama. Ultimately, the case was dismissed, and the situation quietly ended without defining his career. What stood out was not the controversy itself, but how he handled it. Silence, restraint, and dignity became his response. In an industry where reaction often overshadows truth, David demonstrated that integrity does not require constant explanation. This chapter reinforced his emotional maturity and strengthened public respect. Rather than damaging his reputation, the experience highlighted his composure and reminded audiences that character is revealed not when life is easy, but when it is unfair. Family, friendship, and responsibility. Around the same period, David faced profound personal stress involving the health of loved ones. His father experienced serious medical complications, and a close friend suffered a life-threatening stroke. These events pulled David's focus away from fame and back to what mattered most. He stepped back from public life when needed, choosing presence over publicity. Through quiet updates and private support, he showed unwavering loyalty and compassion. These experiences deepened his emotional awareness and reinforced his belief in showing up for others without expectation of recognition. Rather than dramatizing grief, David lived it honestly, balancing responsibility with vulnerability. For fans, this revealed a side of him that television rarely captures, a devoted son and friend who understands that success means little if it isn't shared with care. These moments further grounded him, reshaping how he approached both work and life. A quieter, wiser rebirth. After years of intensity, David gradually shifted toward a more reflective rhythm. His social media presence changed, becoming calmer and more personal. Instead of constant appearances, he shared moments of nature, home life, and self-care. These glimpses suggested healing rather than retreat. David was no longer performing happiness. He was cultivating balance. He invested deeply in his personal space, designing a home that reflected freedom, creativity, and peace. Fashion, design, and self-expression remained bold, but now carried intention rather than urgency. This phase marked a rebirth, not defined by reinvention for approval, but by alignment with self. Audiences responded to this evolution, finding inspiration in his honesty and steadiness. David's growth showed that stepping back can be as powerful as stepping forward, and that fulfillment often comes when one stops proving and starts simply living. Living authentically forward. Today, David Bromstad stands as more than a television host. He is a symbol of expressive freedom, resilience, and self-acceptance. His continued success on My Lottery Dream Home, expanding design ventures, and meaningful relationships reflect a life built with intention. He uses his visibility to inspire others, especially within the LGBTQ+ community, by living openly rather than preaching loudly. His happiness now feels rooted, not reactive. David's story is not about escaping hardship, but transforming it into depth and empathy. Each chapter, joyful or painful, has shaped the man audiences admire today. What makes his journey resonate is its honesty. He never erased the hard parts. He built upon them. In doing so, David Bromstad reminds us that authenticity is not found by avoiding struggle, but by allowing it to refine who we become.